That's all I'm saying.
I mean, this man took a bear, claims that he took a bear and put it next to a bike in Central
Allegedly.
Park. According to himself, this is his
Allegedly.
Yeah.
own statements that he
Allegedly.
did this.
The funny part was when he says he came out public with it because somebody had the story and they were going to publish it and he wanted to get out ahead of it. I'm like, oh, it's worse than what you said. how, how are you helping yourself here?
Mhm.
I'll soften the blow by telling it to you myself instead of having a newspaper say it.
I don't know.
The more information, the bike was stolen.
Oh
He
god.
put the stolen bike next to the bear.
It's not even his bike. China.
And apparently, one of his cousins reported on the story when it first happened. Was one of the main reporters on the story.
Damn. Damn. Well.
Well, I mean, I don't know why he even thought a man who's openly said he had brain worms, which is to the point a meme about how delusional people are because of the internet that they have brain worms, would think he would win like anything because everybody's like, nah, this dude literally has brain worms. Why would I vote for him?
Yep. It's okay. Hey. I took my time on that on Saturday. It was trying to come up with a way to make a 25% tax on unrealized gains and how we can actually make that work. And I think I've came up with some great plans. It's all bad, but I think it can make it work.
All bad. I guess that's a start, I guess.
No. Like the thing is, like you can do this, right? But it's manipulation.
You're going to force people to quit holding on to stuff, and they're going to sell it off every year.
Right. Or, right, yeah. And if you want to bring that rate down, the only way to bring it down is we have to do like different charitable goods and stuff like that. Actual stuff, certified things like, yeah, yeah. You don't want to pay 20%.
The solution she's trying to solve, the problem she's trying to solve a solution for isn't how you do it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not
Yeah,
smart. I
it's
mean,
not
what they're trying to do is say, oh, you've got these millionaires who have all this money banked away, but it's all in stocks and they're just living off the interest. Well, tax the interest more than 12% or 5% or whatever it is you want to do. I don't agree with that, but it's still a better solution than trying to tax unrealized gains, because that's everybody's 401ks. You can't do that without anybody getting upset with you.
Correct. Or I got one for you. Just get rid of the college's tax-free status. They clearly have the money. And these are for look at me, this nonprofit bullcrap of some of these universities. I've seen how much tuition it is. Y'all could go F right off. Now, granted, as a libertarian-ish person, taxation is theft, unless it's a user fee. But these companies, because they call themselves colleges, are gigantic scams. Scams.
You start with each college that's won a bowl game because they have recruitment power.
God,
because they don't need the extra money. There's people are going to go there.
I just I was sitting there looking at some of the the tuition for colleges for the year for some of the degree programs, and just this is a scam. You're not paying. It's $200,000 in debt. If you don't get any scholarships, you just pay $200,000 to get out of this thing for a marketing degree. You'll never pay that back. Not till you're in your 50s, if you're lucky. There's no point. You do better paying a company $200,000 to tell them you will hire me on as marketing. You're gonna let me sit in the corner and learn for 4 years.
Be an intern.
Honestly, yeah. Can you imagine this? It's I'm gonna invest in your company $200,000, and you're gonna let me sit in the corner and learn. I'm gonna give it a shot.
And honestly, they'll probably be better ready to go after a single year than the 4 years of college.
Better use of the money.
Right. You're actually getting experience that you can put on a resume.
Correct. Yeah. So, because in the 4 years, you said 4 years of marketing experience.
Oh, plus I was trying to go back to school, and I had already done a whole bunch of work, client server stuff, and Citrix. When Citrix was first getting started, we were big in the ground floor of that stuff. So it was called WinFrame at the beginning. it was on 351 OS levels on NT. And so I was trying to go back to IUPUI, and I'm like, do I have to take these beginning and intro classes? So they made me meet with the dean, and the dean starts asking me questions. I'm like, well, no, that's not how it works now. You do this and this and this to make this work. And he says, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, yeah, it is how it works. You're thinking stuff 20 years ago. The technology has moved on. You don't know what you're talking about. Why would I pay money to learn from you when I know more than you?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't get my degree there. So let's put it that way.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Like it's like some of the people. It's like some of like my job. Someone's like, well, like, where's your college diploma? And we usually see this thing. I'm like, listen, everything I'm doing for you was created well after I graduated from college.
I've learned all these things with resources that are not college adjacent.
It's so frustrating because I go to these colleges. I'm like, they want me to take Introduction to Computer Science. I'm like, no, hold on a second. I've been working as a IT manager and a tech and now a consultant for 20 years, and you're telling me that I need intro to microcomputers.
Yes.
Shut up.
Yeah. I think like not sponsored, WGU has a great path for it. Yeah. Because it's like, well, if you think you know it, take the test. Take the test. You pass the class. It was amazing. It was like
I was looking at doing WGA, and then Heather had a wreck and everything, and I haven't got around to it. But it seems like the best way to go. You give them like $3,000 a trimester, and then
for 6 months.
6 months, so it's half a year. So you can like $3,000, and you can take as many classes as you want in that period of time.
Yep.
And you can get your whole degree in one half year if you know what you're doing and you plan it out and you take all the tests and everything. There's no limit. So
yeah. Oh yeah. It's my like I tell you what, like if you're like in IT, you want a degree, something like that, you get laid off. Yeah, you just do WGU. Don't go find another job. Just dump into WGU. Just do that. Just buzz. Wake up, pull a 12-hour day, just like you've been doing. Like I said, like I did like courses in a week.
Plus, they give you credit for stuff. Like you can bring in like, hey, I took these classes, or hey, I've done this work, and they can evaluate it and give you credit for it. Like,
I went to just let you take the test.
I was in the Navy for a nuclear power program, and there's a calculation based off of what you learned in the nuclear power schools that like equates over to what college degrees would be, or college credits, and you can get credits for this and this and this and this and that stuff. And I was like, cool. And then I went to IUPUI, and Purdue's like, well, we only allow you to transfer in like 12 credits, and that's it. Like 3 classes, basically. And that's the limit they'll allow you to transfer in. And I'm like, well, that's just stupid.
Yeah. The whole system is like, they've rigged the system to this thing.
Yeah.
To this awful box. And it's the reason why it's hard to find teachers in the K through 12. It's the reason why like it's hard to do things. And then like the hiring departments have gone lazy because they want these little check boxes, and you have to fill out your resume to get through the AI filters. It's 10 times worse now. It's awful. It's awful. Anyways, my name is Harry, aka the Movie Target. Welcome to an exciting new episode of Low Key on the Wheeler Tourist Network. And it's going to be a fun episode. As you guys see, we've been talking about some stuff behind the scenes, and it was a busy week last week. Dear Leader probably pumped out some of our past episodes. So if you guys wondering why you get this in the podcast feed, it was like, man, they just dumped successful episodes real quick. That's Spangle, okay? We're here every Monday. We're doing our work. Spangle is the one that's like gets stuck.
Mostly every Monday.
Yeah, he pushes our episodes out when when we fill up the yield cloud storage. And he needs to get. He can't
save anything on his side. He's like, oh, there's all this stuff. Oh, he's got a bunch of stuff out here. Let's push it out.
It's almost like they have 6 hours of content that we just haven't put out there, at least.
Exactly. Yep. And those exciting voices you hear, because you guys know I don't go alone. I always bring the crew with me. I've got Ryan Holt. Ryan Holt, why don't you go say hi?
Hey, everybody. I'm looking at the title of what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm noticing something very much of interest I want to get into. So,
which one of the 4 things?
Well, I was going to do it as a joke, but the Crow.
Oh,
this is like Crow from Tom Servo and Mystery Science Theater 3000, right?
Then that would probably be a better reboot.
That would be a better movie.
Might be a better movie.
I know. Borderlands, Hold My Beer, the movie. And that famous laugh on the network you hear, it's Vincent. Vincent, go ahead, say hi.
Hey everyone, I'm here. I just kind of picked up a bunch of things that happened over the week. It's like, all right, we're just gonna talk about all this random shit.
Yeah, because it seems like that was coming up. There's like, okay, I kind of want to talk about this, kind of want to do this, but it's like nothing to really want to stick.
You saw the Screen Rant video I did on Borderlands, right?
No,
how they write.
Yeah.
Pitch meeting.
Yeah, pitch meetings are great.
Yeah, I saw that. I love pitch meeting. Yeah. Who's this movie for? Yeah. And I think I was watching also like a Dave Cullen video talking about like also like the smugness of like the elites in Hollywood, like where they won't take legit criticism anymore, and they just want to try to blame it on other things. It's like, listen, like you can sort through the fans talking about like your stuff is bad, and find the real criticism, or you could just like, oh no, it's these fan nerds, they're awful. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Oh no, this thing we made for this group of people is not liked by this group of people. It has to be the group of people's fault.
Right. Exactly.
No, this was made for everybody else. The fans already know the story and all the stuff, so they don't want to care about that. It's getting the story out to a whole new audience. And so why would they care what the gatekeepers of that story would say about it?
Yeah, I know. I almost wish, like I said, like what happens in Japan, like, can you, if you've read all of Steins Gate, or sorry, if you did the visual novel of Steins Gate and you said, you know what, I want us just animated, but I want a different story. What's the fucking point?
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the first visual novel and the second visual novel and put them together. Yes, I know the main core of both of these are completely unconnected in any way, shape, and form. Because one's time travel and one's about the existential concept of what is existence. And we're going to make those into one thing. And we're just going to put it all out.
I don't know. It's a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah, it's shit. That's a shit idea.
Yeah, it's pretty shit idea.
But yeah, no, they tried to complain about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, right? So they were like complaining about how much different it was than the books, and how much different it was than the TV show, and how much different it was than the radio.
Yep.
And it's like, here's the facts. First of all, Douglas Adams put together that screenplay before he died. Second of all, the novels were different than the radio show. The TV show is different than the novels and the radio show. He changed the story every time he told that. Right? So this was him retelling the story again in a different way, in a different medium. And it had the author's approval. So you can't use those same, accusations you do on a lot of other things. That's why a lot of people were trying to do the same thing. I'm like, this is different. This is
it's the people. I don't think people understand that different is fine as long as you understand what you're talking about, and that's the issue. As Reinhold said, he put up 4 different versions of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He didn't even bring up the fucking text adventure game that most people know of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy from, besides the books and the movies and all the other stuff, because it was one of those the Sierra hard things of getting the babblefish. Because
Linton, you have lint in your pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that game very much. So.
You had to get the babblefish, and it was one of the hardest things that people didn't understand the concept of how to actually get it, because every time
we didn't have the internet to go look it up. It was a hard thing to find. You had to go to bulletin boards if you were lucky.
But that's the point, is that they
trade magazine
cared about what they were talking about. So the Borderlands, like, even they kept the same, like, whatever they wanted to do, they didn't keep the spirit of the game.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the issue.
Right.
That's why there's a difference between the fact that people still know of the Street Fighter movie with Raul Julia and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Coked out.
And, and I forgot that the Legend of Chun-Li even existed until somebody put it in a video talking about it. Because I forgot that movie was even real.
Yeah.
And that came out in
Real
2015.
It's a trash
or
movie.
2005. Yeah, but Raul Julia cared enough to make this character as bombastic as possible for his kids because they liked Street Fighter. So he just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna go all out," and that's why people could still quote Bison from that movie.
Yeah, they still do. Like it is
the day Bison invaded your town is the most important day of your life. To me, it was Tuesday.
So good. It's so good.
What a villain. What a villain.
It's just a villain. Yeah. Just
right. But they kept some of the campiness.
Yeah.
They kept some of the campiness and the ridiculousness of Street Fighter. Yes, it's bad, but it's good bad.
Yeah, it's that good bad, or like that. It's also the thing with them trying to reboot line of these cult classics too. As we like just jump right
to the Crow. We're gonna get to that. Yeah,
it's like because some of them are like they're products of their time, or they are the pinnacle. It's like it's just like kind of like they try to redo Big Trouble in Little China right now, right? There's no way you could get enough people who would. There's tons of people that care about that movie and probably could reboot that thing and do it justice, but they won't get the keys to the kingdom to do that.
Well, we talked about that last week. We were talking about Princess Bride, and somebody talking about trying to remake that. It's like, no, you can't.
Right.
You can't touch that.
I'm on board. I want them to touch it. I want them to reboot it, and I want people to cry. And I want so when I go like, hey, can you not touch these shows? Well, let's get over it. Like, I'm just gonna like
that's what they did over here. Yeah.
Look what they did to my stuff. I hope they do to yours, and I hope they destroy it. Like, I really hope they reboot Casablanca before these boomers die. Just destroy them.
I just watched somebody reacting to Kill a Mockingbird. Can you imagine them trying to remake that?
Oh man, you know what? Let's just go through Jack Nicholson's IMDb and just do every last one.
The thing is, it wouldn't be so bad as long as you got Christian Slater to play his roles, because that's what Christian Slater was just a young Jack Nicholson. If you watch those early movies of his, he was just straight off, just ripping off Jack.
Get Christian Slater some movie roles. Christian Slater should have known, like, yeah, that's why I like that hairy guy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm downloading it just because they brought me up.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you right now, he was great in Mr. Robot. So
yeah,
he's still the guy can still act, but
great in Heathers. I loved Heathers.
Yeah, but he was doing Jack Nicholson in Heathers.
Yeah,
so obvious.
You're not wrong. But...
Pump up the volume was a little bit different. He was good in that one because he was quiet and kind of shyish and stuff, and then he did his thing. But Cuffs is where I really noticed how much he was trying to channel Jack. Great movie, but man. It's so obvious.
So going back, but yeah, it feels like there's a lot of cult classic things that they don't seem to understand on how. Like, I'm just waiting for him to go. We're redoing Rocky Horror Picture Show in its entirety, and they did, and no one. I forgot that they even existed. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was, and it's just like I would much rather even now they're gonna try to. My bet they would try it again at some point. This is how popular it originally was. Or we're doing The Room. You mean this movie that was so dumb and ass that everybody thought it was hilarious? Yeah, we're gonna redo that. No, go away.
I was looking stuff up the other day and I noticed they redid Rocky Horror in 2015 or something like that. I'm like,
yes, they did.
Why did I not even hear about this?
They
I went and looked at the reviews.
Where were you guys?
And I was like, oh, now I know why I haven't heard of this.
I remember being there
enjoying good things.
I was sitting there going like, it can't be that bad, right? These people that have to take good care and time and understand what they have.
Well, they did do a anniversary replay. They did in a West End, and they got a lot of famous people to come in and do narration and stuff. The narrating part that was actually really well done. I was a little worried at the beginning. Because the person playing Magenta was playing a totally different character, feel to it. There's a whole different take on Magenta.
Okay.
But the person that got to play Rocky was like a cross between Tim Curry and Chris Kattan, but so it was a little off-putting for a while. But when he started getting to some of the jokes later on, I was like, okay, this guy is not all right. I give this to him. He's not too bad.
Well, like, all right. To be fair, that rebate that it was done with a lot of care, but it just shows that no matter what you do, that movie was lightning in a bottle at the time, and it really wasn't like a huge success. People brought things to it that made it a success.
Right.
So the play was always really good, and they tried to turn it into a movie. The movie wasn't done well because they left so many pauses in it. But it turned out that it was all the pauses in the dialogue that made it popular because people started putting their own dialogue in it, right?
Yep.
But the actual movie itself, you just sit and watch it, is just like, this is really kind of bad. But the songs in it are really good. And listening to I can't remember the guy's name now, the guy who wrote it and was Riff Raff in it, about how he came up with it and the whole history on it. I kind of did a whole big thing on it recently. It was actually very good. So it was a huge hit as a play, flopped as a movie, but then became a cult classic because of the reasons why it flopped.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at something like The Crow is a cult classic movie. Like the original is a cult classic that's for like a very specific time and place with a very specific group of people that are like, this is amazing, I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's also cheesy and campy and fun, but also while also being dark and edgy.
Right. It was speaking to a culture at a time where they were wanting really dark edge, but it was still, kind of lady, it wasn't 2022, it wasn't that we've moved past that point where that kind of tone struck a chord with people. Now it just looks lame.
Yeah, it's why some of the Star Trek stuff kinds of feels like now, like Deep Space Nine only worked because Next Generation and the original series, right? When you have to have like these other things that build up to it. If you want to know why, like, hey, like this dark, warlike Star Trek things that work, because we're kind of like, we don't want that. I don't want that.
Well, I just read an article that came out a couple of days ago where they were going back and trying to reevaluate Monk. And how Monk was not kind to people with mental, neurodivergent people instead of neurotypical people, and all the new language that we're using today and the things we understand about how minds work and stuff. They're saying that there's a lot of, they fell flat in creating the character. And it's like, at the time, that character brought a lot of people who had those issues. Like I'm neurodivergent, I'm not neurotypical. So when I saw Monk, I'm like, oh, somebody finally is writing a hero that's like me, has some of these issues and deals with some of this stuff and has to get it by. But now they're looking at it from today's culture and going back and just trying to say, oh, this was, it's like watching a 40s movie and they're in a Western and the way they're treating Indians at the time, right? It's that kind of same mindset that they're going and trying to attacking Monk for now.
Right. So going back,
they're not getting a lot of support.
Yeah,
a lot of people are yelling about it, but
booing them. But no, like, and the other thing is like The Crow, like that really dark gothic thing only went because of a lot of the comic books at the end, when where it came from was like all these bright superhero comics, and it's just like this whole world, these worlds that spawn that genre that helped spawn Spawn. Spawn. Spawn.
It was Image Comics. It was Todd McFarlane. It was Spawn. It was some of those other indies that were trying to break out from that. We have to be this type thing.
And then when The Crow came out, because I don't remember the guy who wrote it, but he wrote it after the death of his girlfriend. She died, and he was trying to write. He wrote something in a way to cope with the fact that she passed, because he wanted. Because it was an accident and he wanted somebody to blame to deal with it in however way possible. So he wrote a comic dealing with it. That's why it's so dark, but it's also with the original version of it, it had humor. Eric had a personality.
Yes.
He was a very interesting person who had his own way of thinking, and he cared about people, and he got the little girl's mom clean of drugs. You know, like he was taking him and his girlfriend were taking care of his girl because she needed help. And then you compare it to now, is the current one, which is kind of from people who like the original series, from what I'm gathering, hate it. They hate it. They think it's terrible. They try. One of the best explanations I saw is that they tried to simplify the concept, but also made it more complex for no reason.
Yeah.
And instead of it being a raven, a crow will take you across, and sometimes your soul was treated harshly enough, it will let you come back for vengeance. It's now this whole other world of a crossing with souls, and that somebody can sell their soul to the devil to send innocent souls to hell, and they don't need to be. It's like, what? Why are you guys doing that?
Yeah.
But
and the other thing is like it is because the studios have made so many dark superhero movies. This is Batman, this is dark. Like I was like, all right, there's no
Punisher.
These, yeah, right.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of light to show a contrast to what this thing was. Also, this thing also spawned one thing in White Wolf for the the old World of Darkness. Thing called Risen inside the series that I know you guys never met a Risen. I never when we would play World of Darkness games, I never did a Risen for you, but the Crow, is they built this whole thing of it. They're called Risens, which things have they do come back, and they're tethered to this world, and like they have tethers and things that so you can't really hurt them, but you can hurt their tether. But it's like this whole soul thing. And there's a traumatic event from it, and they built, and World of Darkness built a freaking lore that they could just bought that, scripted, and just kept going.
Remember, some of us played live action role playing World of Darkness back in the day.
Right.
Well, we would go to
Brian,
conventions,
you would,
and
but
just
I haven't dealt with a Risen before. But it's
Loser and reject party. Okay.
I was Malkavians.
You were about, I could see you being a Malkavian.
That's
dirty.
But it's also interesting to see that a lot of the people who are fans of the original Crow hate this movie. They don't like it at all. But there's a sizable amount of people who went and saw it and they liked it. And it's crazy because here's two reviews, one after the other. I pulled up from just people from Rotten Tomatoes. I pulled up just the audience reviews, and one is as a giant fan of the original movie, what on earth happened here? The music is terrible. The acting's mediocre at best. The vibe is completely dead and gone. The movie's boring for 3/4 of it. And the only part worth any attention is at the end of the movie. The main actress the main love interest is bland and boring. Why is Skarsgård's Eric so flat? He has no personality. Why are they druggies? And the one below it is super romantic, dark, crazy, and definitely brutal. I had to cover my eyes more than once, but it's definitely a date night movie if your girls in a romance can handle some gore.
Yeah, so your girlfriend's one of the Raylo, and she believes in the I can fix him. That's the
right. That's what I say. There's a
that one didn't start off with I'm a big fan of the original.
No, it didn't. Exactly. That's my point. Is that there's a sizable group of people who doesn't know about the original Crow and doesn't have anything to compare it to. So they're just taking it as face value of a dark story now and treating it as such. And because they don't have the baggage, while there's still lots wrong with it, from my understanding and people reviewing it and some of the clips I've seen, there are still people who really like it because of that element of it, but the people who like the Crow hate it. They absolutely despise it and are very upset that they made the two main characters drug addicts when in the first movie his whole thing is get people clean.
Yep. I don't know. Yeah. And and it's also kind of very rushed, very quick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Well, it's quick, but not.
Yeah.
Their romance. They spend like from what I understand, they spend like the first like 15 minutes of the movie building their relationship. They spend 1 week. They spend 1 week together. Then she dies, and it's like immediately I'm in love. They spent the whole week taking drugs. They don't specify what it is, but it's either X or DMD.
DMT or something. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
My brain just stopped working for a second on drugs, so I don't do that.
It's
But
yeah,
it's like,
and you meet someone for a week, and now you're ready to go to hell for this person.
yeah. But then they also like do stuff of like the crow's not really relevant to the story at all. Like they try to do this thing where it's about how much you love the person, and that depends on how much immortality you have. But then they immediately drop it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like there are elements that I could see some people liking, I guess. But as a movie, it looks kind of boring and dumb, and the people who like The Crow fucking hate it. They think it's an insult, and some people said they would rather watch one of the Crow sequels than that.
Yeah. I think other Joe from the Angry Joe show. We can watch the other two. It's better movies.
Watch 3 and 4; they'll be better.
Yeah, which those are trash movies, but yeah, I feel you.
But it's one of those things that's where it's hard for me to understand. I know why they're doing it, but I don't understand why do it if you're not going to capture the feel of the original.
Correct.
You know, especially when it comes to cult classic things. Like, why take a cult classic and purposely go out of your way to do something different, but also without the same connection to the original? Perfect example. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a cult classic movie. It did not do well in the box office, but it's one of my favorite movies. There's a bunch of people who really love that movie. It has a bunch of just famous actors for no reason in it, like Brandon Roth, Chris Evans, like Michael Cera's the main character. Like,
ruined a whole generation of boys and women's dating.
Who don't understand exactly what the movie's trying to tell. They made an anime on Netflix that starts off the same as the movie, because they brought all the same voice acting back, all the voice cast from the movies back, Chris Evans, Brandon, all the A-list voice acting talents back. And then the end of the first episode, they changed the entire narrative.
Okay.
The end of the first episode is completely different than what happens in the story of the movie. And because that change happened, that still you have to now address the fact that this massive change has happened. How does this affect the story? So, like, spoilers. We go and put it on there. This is the first episode of a show.
No one's gonna watch this show.
Sure. Scott dies at the end of the first episode. Like, in his first fight against Matthew Patel, like he does in the movie, he dies. Instead of winning, he's dead.
He dies.
Yes, he loses.
Lame.
So the story has to continue on without Scott in it. And how does that affect the universe of there's these 7 evil exes that you have to fight to date Ramona, and Patel wins. He's like, I get you, right, Ramona? She goes, no, fuck off. You killed my boyfriend. Fuck you.
Right. Roll credits. I don't understand. Why are we still
And then
here?
the evil exes get together in a meeting and are like, so this isn't working the way we wanted it to. She didn't want me. I won. She didn't want me, though. What do we do now?
Okay.
And it still kept the spirit and concept of Scott Pilgrim. There's a cult classic and the way they're going about things. But they've completely changed the narrative and took it to a completely different path with a different concept and a different thing they're approaching and touching on compared to the original movie.
Okay.
And that's something that I think is great. I want them to do something different, but they have to respect what they already had.
He's not going to just pop up the next episode and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
No, he does not. I think I got to about episode 4 because I watched it with somebody who had never watched the original movie and didn't know what the fuck was going on. and he's not alive by episode 4, so
And a person who never saw the movie, is he liking the show though?
it was producer Paul, and he jumped in like halfway through episode 3, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. I have no context, and I don't know what's going on. But yeah, you can get the spoiler thing off. But my point is that if they care about the cult classic thing, they're going to change.
Mhm.
It matters so much that they keep elements that make it what it is. If somebody liked The Crow for the character of Eric and what he does, if you're going to completely and utterly warp that character and not keep any of the same values or interesting, or even most of the iconography, because the face paint's different, it doesn't look like the original Crow. They don't. The crows are there, but they're not like a main relevant part of his powers. It's what was the point? Why not name it something else and move on?
Right. Yeah. You could just make this a Risen movie, put Will of Darkness on top of it, and just go. Took their lore, took that, paid them, and moved on. Probably would have made a better movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of respecting the what came before it and made a paint by numbers movie, Alien and Romulus. Watch this movie. I'm not a big, huge lore fan of Aliens, so I did not come to this movie with like everyone else I watched it with was, where does this fit in the timeline? I didn't care.
Fair.
I came to watch a Xeno movie. People run from aliens for an hour or two. But to be honest,
busting out of people's chests.
Right, yeah. Honestly, just not to beat around the bush, 6 out of 10 movie. It's a solid movie. Is it great? No. Is it easy paint by numbers alien movie? Yeah, everything that you want from an alien movie is there. Just check. It just goes through, checks things off boxes. Doesn't really try to recreate the wheel. Doesn't give you, just make some unanswered questions. It just kind of was it satisfying to watch? Yeah, has a whole bunch of jump scares. I'll tell you that much. They did rely heavily on jump scares for the whole thing.
What I was thinking about there is some aliens though. It was Ripley's character and what she was dealing with and what she went through. Right. It was never just a paint by numbers horror movie. And I think what it sounds like they're doing is they were just doing the paint by numbers thing, not creating a compelling story or character to follow.
They do create it's just kind of, it's weak. The story they have is very weak. What they do try to build on with
an excuse of a movie, right? An excuse of a plot.
Correct. They could have did more to build onto that, because there's some things there's a couple of things that happened in the first part of the movie that threw me off, because they kept talking about hey, we're gonna because you find out they're stuck on this mining planet, right? From the company, and they're we're gonna leave it, but they don't show how they get this ship to leave. And it's hold on. You guys just get this ship. I thought this company was evil. You guys got this thing that can break freaking orbit. Whatever. Anyways.
Do you think it needed to be made?
No. Did not need to be made. Did not need to be made.
It didn't advance the lore of the story in any way. It was just a side story, basically. This is the same people over here, happened to them too.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And it did kind of I think one thing it did do was kind of explain yes, they have taken the DNA to be able to make different xenomorphs, actually get it to actually fuse better with human DNA. Okay, which is neat. Was just are you just doing this so you can open the door up to make other movies now? Because now you can make these different hybrids.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is.
Almost like they rebooted Predator. I mean, what did you think of the Predator reboot? Is it the same situation where it's different? It's like the Prometheus, or is it different in that regard that it actually has a story and a plot and it advances the lore a little bit by going back in history and showing something from that.
Did you watch Predator Prey, Harry?
No, I did not. That movie looked like trash.
I heard some good things about
Yeah,
it. But
I heard good things as well. I heard it was a good movie, but I also heard it's a period piece, and that because it's just one of the Predators, it just happened to be in this time of this at this point in time.
The thing is, right? Like from the trailer, it just to me is a quick trash because I like the idea of the Predator having different period pieces, but like this, nah, I'm good. This is stupid. This is dumb. I'm not watching this. This is not what I want. It's not what I want. I don't think this is for me. I ain't watching it.
That's fair. I mean, I think my favorite argument for any Predator movie, it was one of the YouTubers I watched, is like, here's how you make a Predator movie. You make a normal movie, and then Act 2, Predator shows up. And then you go from there.
I would love to watch Man in the Iron Mask with Predator. Just do the same movie at Man in the Iron Mask and just have the Predator in there.
Right.
Predator directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Because that's always what Quentin did, was he would take a story and you think you know where it's going, and all of a sudden there'd be this left field turn. Boop,
right.
To everything. Yeah.
Oh, I remember
Quentin
the first time I
Tarantino
watched
makes a mafia movie, and it's just like part way through, like the mafia leader's talking and just blade through the chest. Uncloaked Predator.
What the? I would watch that movie.
I know you would, because it wouldn't be advertised as a Predator movie, though. That would be the whole point. It wouldn't be advertised as a Predator movie.
Yeah, it was because like I remember watching Dusk Till Dawn with my wife, and it was very satisfying because she did not know anything about this movie, and when that turn happened, she just like, "What is going on?" It's like, yes. It's like, man, that felt good. But no. I it's a watch. I would watch it again, but I watch it again. I don't know. It does make me want to watch the alien movies again. Okay, I'll give you that much. I think they did really well in it was they give a better explanation why someone who has never touched a gun before, they gave them an auto aim gun. They did a really good thing for paying things off. They did explain. They put it. Basically, if you was writing for the Acolyte, you should watch this movie because they did these things called payoffs.
A setup and a payoff.
Setup and payoffs, right? And they would introduce things, and they would have things happen because of and they would have these set rules, right? And then they would like those things go. It was great. It was brilliant. They say like, "Hey, be careful where you shoot the aliens at because their acid would go through the thin hull of the ship and suck them out to outer space, right? Right." And several scenes later, they talk about that again.
Oh my god!
It happens. It happens. Oh no, I shot it. Oh no.
It's almost like we have a concept that we want to actually fulfill.
I know, right? It's weird, right? It's one of those things, but it's like I said, they should probably watch that movie. I enjoy it,
That's fair.
Yeah. So Borderlands 4.
Yeah. So they did Gamescom, and at Gamescom, there's like, we're announcing Borderlands 4, and it was like this cinematic trailer. It was like, yeah, Borderlands 4, and if you watch any of the trailer reaction afterwards, the crowd is so silent. The crowd gives no fucks about this announcement of Borderlands 4 because they're just thinking about the shitty Borderlands movie that just came out.
How they broke Borderlands 3.
Yep.
It's like
they gave us a really shit character that focused the game around. Well, to be fair, the actual gameplay and the playing of the game is really nice and fun, and I enjoy how it plays.
That's true.
However, the plot is ass.
Yeah,
the plot sucks.
Maybe we should stream that on Spooky Season. We'll just play Borderlands.
It's not even spooky.
Harry,
it's too late. It's too late for that. Borderlands is dead now, don't you know? It's dead. The movie came out and killed it.
Not dead, but I think
it's almost as dead as Concord.
Yeah. I think Borderlands 4 needs to be it needs to be like a good homecoming. You know, you need to give it back to the style, the crudeness of Borderlands 2. We want that back. We also want the characters to be, yeah, they're anti-heroes, but they also have to be lovable. We have to love them again. You know, yes,
I
they
feel
can
like I
be.
really didn't have a connection to any of the characters in the third game.
Yeah.
Like any of the playable characters, I just kind of picked
Mhm.
one and just went with it.
Right.
There wasn't one I just felt like an instant connection with.
Yeah, or the pre-sequel, like you like love them and do the combinations with them. It's like it makes you want to replay and keep replaying and put all these hours into it. Like the third one, like, you know, thanks for buying it for me, but like I haven't downloaded it, I haven't played it.
Did I buy it for you?
I think so. I think
I don't think I bought it. I think somebody bought it for you, but it was bought.
I think it was you. I didn't buy it because it had the Nuvo in it. I refused. I think you said like they took the Nuvo off and bought it for me.
I don't remember.
Watch, I'm gonna open up Steam. Someone's gonna call me on Steam because they're
Instantly like, what's going on, bro?
It's like no. Yeah,
but
no. I'm. How can I put this? I hope for it to be good because I do love the series. I love because like I would be okay with going and playing the pre-sequel, the Borderlands 2. I would only do the first one if it's a drinking game because there's some problems with that one.
Oh, that one's kind of bland. Like you can tell that the first one was something else, and then Borderlands 2 really kind of put the final paints on the Warhammer kit, I guess.
Yeah, I think
for it to be fully realized.
Well, yeah, you could tell like they took like, okay, this is what they liked of the first one, so let's lean into that. Let the characters talk more, like that more of that RPG aspect in there, you know. Do I find out who bought this for me?
And I also respect the fact that when the third game came out, they made a DLC for the second game to put at the end of the second game.
Yep. It's I want to give hope for it. I'm definitely do not 100%,
no day one, no pre-order.
80% no pre-order Borderlands 4.
No pre-order, no day
not
one.
Not even first month. Don't buy it even the first month.
I need that game to come out. I need them to fix all the shit and then release it.
Right, you're like, okay, you're gonna go Epic Store only, Denuvo, blah blah blah. I'm gonna go stare at it like, okay, all right, tell me when you're done.
Even if it's the best game out of the whole series, I'm still gonna wait.
Yep, still gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. You know, I'm not dealing with the other junk that you guys put in thing, or you're not Payday 3 in me. Oh my god, Payday 3 finally got an update. Some people call. You saw, I think I posted in the Discord, and they literally joke like I'm like, hey, better late than never. It's like, dude, on your roadmap is VoIP. You still ain't got it. Game's been out for a year. We still ain't got voice chat. What the for game for heist?
It's so dumb.
It's like you could have just re-skit. It's just it's just like Borderlands, and you would say Payday 2 was bad. I'm like, oh, it was, but it wasn't that bad. It had some issues, but it wasn't that.
But they had a bunch of content that they kept dumping into the game over and over and over again.
Made you keep coming back. And the things that we complained about in the game was more of like, well, it's too expensive to buy new weapons, right? The grind was awful, right? So they fixed those things, you know? Yeah.
Right. It's almost like the people who made Payday 2 care, and they only want to keep doing. And the people who love Payday 2 kept playing Payday 2, even though Payday 3 came out.
Right. Payday 2. If you look at the stats of people playing Payday 2, it's massive. Probably go look that up. I bet there's probably like thousands of people playing Payday 2 right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
People really like that game.
It's a fun game. I love it. Freaking love that game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there are very few games. Like, it's always hard to find a multiplayer game that you can find with other people that's really fun to play together without it becoming, frustrating. Playing something like Overcooked, unless everyone is working together, doing the same thing, it gets frustrating.
Yeah, that's true.
But then that becomes a second fucking job. Because
Yeah.
one person has to expedite, and one person has to prep, and one person has to cook, and one person has to deliver.
Yeah, it's I gotta put it. It's I don't know.
You do know, you and I fucking murdered that game so easily because one person just called all the shots and the other one followed.
It was the a lot of people just I just can't play the game with people. They just you could just tell like you've never worked in the kitchen.
They don't understand,
and I
They
can't
don't
play this game with
understand.
you. And then you may say like you're taking this too seriously. Maybe,
Yeah, probably.
but like the way you're playing ain't relaxing.
No, this shit's fucking. This is frustrating as shit.
God, man, maybe we should play with other streamer. I bet she would hate us.
Oh my god.
Yelling. We're not yelling. We're talking.
We're discussing. We're discussing. We're making one call all together. I need you guys to communicate, please. Communicate.
Yeah. Talk up. Talk up.
So
yeah.
let's transition this to the other thing. Black Myth Wukong. What do you know about it, Harry?
I know it's from China, and that
whoa. It's CCP backed China.
CCP backed China. I know it's talking about ancient Chinese like a story of the West, which
Journey to the West,
Journey to the West, which was created well before communism came to China and destroyed that beautiful country.
Bunch of people who don't know the actual story are saying it ripped off Dragon Ball Z.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, bro. There's so many people who didn't know about the actual thing of
Shut up.
the Journey to the West that people are like, pfft. I literally saw a comment like, what are you guys talking about? Dragon Ball Z came out in 1998. This came out in 2024. That's ripping Dragon Ball Z off. I'm like, bro,
I don't know how to tell you
Journey
this,
to
bro.
the West is like one of the oldest stories ever.
Yeah.
So for Black Myth Wukong, leading up to its release, all I heard was that, hey, this company in China is making this game about Wukong, which I was like, all right, cool. It's an interesting myth. I haven't bought it. I'm not going to play it. It feels more Soulsborne-y than I like.
Yeah.
Because I don't like Soulsborne games very much. But
yeah, you have to put something from the Chinese government on your PC.
Yeah, exactly. The CCP has to be a part of it. But and we'll get back to the politics part of this later. We'll go over here. The game came out and broke Steam records for it's the second most played game on Steam concurrent players ever, knocking Power World down to number 3. And it's crazy if you look at the Steam charts of Black Myth Wukong. Let me go ahead and pull it up so I can tell you exactly the numbers here for you. It's crazy because it spikes and drops at rapid rates depending on what time of day it is in China. So here's a good example. On August 21st at 10 o'clock our time, 2.3 million players.
Jesus.
August 21st at 10 p.m. our time. Let me get the low. This is 6 p.m. our time. 200K. 10%.
Little drop.
And that happens every day on the Steam chart. If you look at it, it's literally every day up until recently where it's starting to dip slightly below the 2 million on daytime in China.
Well, also considering like a lot of people also have like a limited game like time to play games.
Right. But yeah, it has a massive 2 million spike, and it drops to 200K, and then back up to 2 million and back down to 200K, which shows why it's like breaking records and all that fun stuff for the game. Because from what I understand, people really like the game. They're having fun with it. You know, the game is a fun game for people who like that, who like those kinds of games. Understandable. I'm glad people love it.
Yep.
And then we get to the stuff that came out after the game came out and all the other random information we got. So one of the things we did get was the publishers of the game sent a do's and don'ts list for people talking about the game. So the do's list is just enjoy the game. And the don'ts list, some of them understandable. Others, I see what you're doing here. So it's like, don't insult other influencers or players. Fine, understandable. Don't use any offensive language or humor. Yeah, I get it. You know that's what you guys want, but people are still cussing, whatever. Don't include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishism, or content that instigates negative discord.
Okay.
It's an actual thing they put in the thing they sent out for it. Don't use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. And do not discuss content related to China's gaming industry policies, opinions, news, etc. So when the game came out, there's like, you could just talk about the game, don't talk about our industry and why this is the first big game from China, because China's openly said they hated video games and don't like video games and really don't want anything to do with video games, and you can't talk about things that we don't want you to talk about because well, you see, we don't want our things being attached to that, and people immediately decided to give them the middle finger by naming their streams for Black Myth Wukong Taiwan on Twitch.
West Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, and the things they told him not to say.
Oh,
and then there's so that is ridiculous. That it feels like obviously what they're doing, because it's CCP, they're trying to control the narrative about whatever their thing is. Obviously. The other thing that came out was a bunk story that was reported, falsely translated, which was rebuffed by a bunch of people who know Chinese and don't have anything connected to the company or the CCP or any of the other stuff about the CEO of the games company being this sexist guy who says all these sexist things. So he went to a one quote where he talked about how he didn't like the trailer for his game and used like idioms that when translated over to English come off as lewd and or crude, such as like making his pole extend and some stuff like that.
Okay.
Sun Wukong, he has a bow staff that extends, so technically it makes sense, but because that's part of the myth. But that whole story got debunked, and there's a bunch of other elements of it. But a lot of people took it and ran with it,
regardless,
and using that as a basis to affect how they reviewed the game. Because it's perfectly fine to like the game or not like the game, but when you're reviewing it and reducing a star value from something that was misinformation about a game,
right?
There are plenty of things to not like about it, with it being CCP funded and attached to silencing everything attached to any criticism that would be negative towards the game, because they specifically said no negative feedback at all. So if you have a complaint about the game, they don't want you to talk about the complaint, because that would cause negative discourse, you see.
Correct. Yeah. Well, we also got information also out of China, because soft, China going to soft power, our going to soft power. Shout out to Liwa86 and Serpent on their they did great things of pulling stuff out from the Great Firewall, showing that Chinese companies were letting people to go home and play the game. and even buying the game for people. Like, hey, we noticed that you only bought the regular. Here's a deluxe copy. So it's like, so one, it's also good to show like how like there are people there that game and want to market. They're human beings just like the rest of us. It's great humanizing. I think it's like it's the, and then we want also mentions like, hey, it's the government we hate. It's the government. The government sucks.
As long as they create like the creators of the game, I have no ill will towards them.
None.
I mean, as long as they're not like directly attached to
unless
the
they
government.
atrocities.
Well, terrible.
That's a double-edged sword inside of China, because if your company is large enough, you have to have a party official in your company.
Yeah, that's true.
Party. Yeah, so not party, a party member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everything's dual purpose. So
I have no ill will to anybody who hasn't committed atrocities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's the federal government out of your list, right?
I mean,
whoa.
I have no ill will of people who haven't committed atrocities. But yeah, it's interesting to see how some of the discourse is, where there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't care about the discourse, the game is good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's just perfectly fine. If you like the game, you like the game. There's also the people that are like all into the conversation, and that paints one way or the other of like, well, I like it more because they said these things, or I like it less because of these misinformation things I've gathered.
Mm.
So it's interesting to especially since it broke the record, but it's obvious that based on what you're saying, that it was that was fucking that was NFT levels of pumping the numbers.
Artificially up. Right.
Considering NFT levels pumping
considering
numbers.
China does have limits on for kids for playing games. Just like hard limits on different things. So
yeah, and looking at the such a massive the 90% drop off throughout from peak to trough in a day.
Correct. Yeah.
It shows there's an issue there.
Correct. And before any like English publishers is like, hey, you know what? Or like, I can get if I get my game in China, look how many people I can get. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. They will steal your IP. They will repurpose your crap.
You say that, but that's not how that is.
Yeah. Those billion people will just copy your crap and not give you a dime.
Those millions of players will play your game, but they will not play the game that you sent over.
Right.
They will play the CCP version of the game you sent over.
Yeah, and you have to censor it heavily. You'll bring out all kinds of different themes, and you have to lean in different stuff. So don't do it. You're just going to alienate your Western fans trying to hit this possible market that you may or may not hit or be sustainable because of just a game engine.
If you go, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna point. See this game? This game is at number 3. That was just in this number 2 spot less than a week ago. It's called Power World. You see, and this is a Japanese game about catching fucking Pokemon, but not called Pokemon. You'll be fine if you find the right niche.
You find your people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, honestly, that sums up a lot of the stuff we've been talking about for weeks now, is that people want to target a massive audience at the expense of the niche that cares about it.
Right.
The Borderlands stuff, the Crow stuff, the artistic vandalism stuff, all of the stuff that they're using these IPs for and using them to try to pump it out to as many people as possible. They are missing the point of a lot of these things. A lot of these things are around and are cult classics for a reason, because people came back to it, enjoyed it.
Right.
Like stuff like Invader Zim got canceled, but when I was in high school, every fucking girl who had leaned scene to goth had something related to Invader Zim. And that show was canceled like 5 years before then.
Scene kids. Damn scene kids.
I mean, cult classics And
Right.
playing to your demographic is
Yeah.
how you make your money. But
Right.
I don't think but it's so narrow in their focus that they don't see the big picture.
Yeah.
Because why make this small market of guaranteed money when we could potentially get a chance at 50% of this big set of money?
Yeah. Anyways, I just want to go back and watch Dark City. You know?
Go back to watch a bunch of things
Well, yeah.
that you really enjoy.
Because you have to understand, like a lot of those cult classics, because they were shunned and pushed away from the mainstream. It was given to us non mundane people, and we found love into it. It's
Right.
just, it's why a lot of these niche things grew. It's like it's looking out of the mundane and having joy into it. We're not tourists of a lot of different things, so like we get upset when the thing that we like gets brought into the mainstream and the tourists pick it apart and do something terrible with it, and then they just walk off to the next thing. It's like, well, we're still here, we still like this thing, even though when you did to it, that's
well, we're gonna forget the thing you did to it. We're gonna set that over there and not talk about it ever again because we still have the thing we like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. All the cult classics that people like, from even the ones that became popular, that became cult classics, to just modern classics for a lot of people, like Fight Club. Fight Club came out, it became a cult classic, and it just became a classic for people because it stopped being cult anymore.
Well, the problem with Fight Club was that you can't market that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, had their own idea what they thought this movie was about until people started word of mouthing it. And that's when it became like, hey, you got to check this movie out. And people wanting to watch their reactions to it.
Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, Blade Runner was a cult classic. Now it's just a classic. People just say Blade Runner's awesome. And it's a mainstream opinion to think that Blade Runner was a good movie.
I was watching a show the other day. They were talking about how Shawshank Redemption bombed at the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. How many times I've watched that movie?
It's just like one of the best movies really ever made, but it bombed so bad because a lot of people just didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
From the title and the marketing, and what can you say about the movie, right? So
yeah, decent time to cook too. Yeah, and it's better at watching it at home because you hit pause and go pee.
It might be a little bit ahead of its time too, as far as that goes. As far as the sensibilities of the time,
it's true.
Right, but then you also look at the comparison of things that 20 years ago, Anything, Everything, or All at Once would have been a cult classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wouldn't be an internet discourse to immediately latch onto it, discuss it, figure it out. It would have just, like, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
Cult classic, and then it would eventually become something that people recognize later.
But then reboot into something terrible. Anyways.
But it's just kind of one of those things of, I feel like it's a lot harder now to have cult classics and then trying to recapture lightning in a bottle by taking the cult classics that are now considered classics and trying to make them modernized is causing issues because they don't understand what made them cult classics because those don't exist anymore.
No, I think they're out there. I think a lot of these niche but great, amazing creatives are doing these cult classic things, but they're not getting. It's just kind of hard it's harder to find them now because like there's YouTubers out there that have like 50
older,
$50,000 to $100,000 views, and we've probably never heard of them because their little niche group watches their content, what their thing that they're putting on. Like I think I keep sending I keep wanting to send Reinhold like this little like niche like political stream. I keep late night political stuff I keep sending called Late Stage Live. Is it my politics? No, but I freaking love this show. It's like, this is amazing. But it's cult. It's very small.
Right.
It's big, but it's small. It's just not mainstream. It's not, people are dumping into it.
Right? Because I feel like the term cult classic has become very much harder. It's just now everything is niche or there's small communities because there's so much content out there that it's easier to have small communities of things.
True. Yeah.
Right. Technically, Reinhold made a cult classic game that somebody wanted to document because it was a classic that only certain number of people played it and they really loved it and latched onto it. There are a bunch of people who played the old Ultima games and really, really love the Ultima games. I could probably ask 100 gamers now and they'll go, what the fuck is an Ultima?
It's the ultimate attack, right?
Yeah, or they're like, are you talking about Final Fantasy? I like Final Fantasy. It's like, no, Ultima, the series.
Ultimate weapon, yeah.
With King Britannia. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's not an ultimate, okay? That's
Bard's Tale is a good example too.
Right.
Oh, man. Bard's Tale.
Yeah, I feel like cult classic is just a term that has kind of gone away because of how much everything is able to be visible. And the things that get shunned away and kind of put away and nobody talks about just disappear. Like, I don't like, there's nobody who's like, oh man, you know what movie I fucking love? Rampage with The Rock.
Yeah.
Remember that movie existed, Harry? They made a video game movie of Rampage with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
See, like,
no one remembers that movie even existed until I just said it.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Most people forget, like Blade the series, remember Blade the TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Before this episode gets too long in the truth, let's end it. If you made it this far, thank you. You're a true key holder. You could be listening to anything else in the world, but you decided to listen to this. That I thank you. Stay live. Podcast. We start at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Monday nights. Come hang out with us live. I thank you for all the 300 of you guys who download this podcast every week, or when Spenkle pumps it out. It makes your numbers look really good when he dumps it out like that real quick. You guys are downloaded all at once. I appreciate it. Hurts his bandwidth costs and shows him make sure he puts these episodes out on time. But come watch us. But come, I don't think why some of you guys hang out with us live. Be part of the live studio audience. You can find us on twitch.tv/We Are Libertarians, and that's the letter R. And then on YouTube.com/We Are Libertarians. So come hang out. It'll be fun. All right. I'll say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys. And I'm
Bye,
sorry
everybody.
that you saw Rampage in the theaters.
Christy,
I'm sorry.
so sorry. Oh man, and yeah, we gotta wait till the shirt should be coming next month. Can't wait to get our shirts.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. All right, see you guys.